Jimmy, mate, you need to help me out here, mate. I need you to go and get a bird of prey, mate. And he knows I talk like this, so he won't take offence over it.
You sound a little bit like
that was quite good.
A tiny bit like him.
Yeah.
The Thinking Tackle Podcast.
Now, joining me today in the studio is James Armstrong. Now, James certainly has fishing in the blood because, as well as his actual fishing, he also works as a self-employed carp angler and tutor. Now, some of his angling highlights include catching a sought-after common carp from a local park lake which weighed over 53 pounds, as well as banking a remarkable-looking linear from a quiet pond that very few people even knew about. Now, during this episode, he recounts some highly amusing stories from his Korda days, as well as covering all his latest angling successes. Now, James has an abundance of great carp fishing knowledge and advice, which we know you're going to love. Hope you enjoy the show. James Armstrong, Jimmy Armstrong.
Yeah.
We're live. Welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
Really good to have you on the show.
Good, yeah. I'm delighted to be here.
Yeah, no, it's good. It brings back old memories, doesn't it, Korda?
Yeah, it brings back old memory. This doesn't. This
I was
is.
going to say, this is a bit different, isn't it?
Yeah, this is far posher than my Korda days, mate.
So what were your Korda days like then compared to this?
It began in a shed, really. They were like.
They used to call them the sheds, didn't they?
They did. They were the Korda sheds, and old Alan and that were pottering around in a rickety old shed, and we were in these little caravan type things, really. Containers, I guess they call them. Yeah, and it was far smaller then. Like one office was Damo. Dan would come in now and then. Damo and Tom, I think back then that was it. The other office was me, Ali, I think Roger Webber at the time.
Oh, Roger, yeah.
And then the storage, the little storage places just full of Korda tackle.
Does it? I mean, because you're into media and all this sort of stuff. I mean, could you envisage possibly how big fishing companies could get back then?
No, I was a baby back then, mate.
Yeah.
No, I mean to see this today, it's just ridiculous where it's come.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. It's nice to see because a lot of my friends are still here and doing very well. So yeah, it's great.
Just a different. Oh, what have we got up here then, Tabe? So we got
nice little flashback for James.
Yeah, those were the days. Look.
So what was this? A thinking tackle?
That was a thinking tackle at Hunt's Corner on the Linear Complex. Yeah, look at that. Look at the guns there as well, mate. God, they've shrunk. They have, blimey.
Do you do a lot of gym stuff? No, you're quite a sporty guy, aren't you?
I am. I try to, mate. But I'd rather be on the golf range or fishing, to be honest. I find gym so boring. But yeah, there's old Matt on the camera, I think. I don't know whether he still does stuff now.
We've got Matt there. We've got Rich Stewart and Ali in the middle there.
Big Burn.
Big Burn. When you said that, I listened to the last podcast. It's like you know exactly who you're talking about there.
Mate, me and Rich speak every day nearly, probably. He's still one of my best mates. But we gave Hunt's Corner an absolute walloping on the surface on that session. I think we were there for 2 days. I remember catching like 21, 22 fish. Rich had the same. Old Albo struggled a bit, I think, on that one. But I could say that, can't I?
See the way he laughs there, Ted, when he
because he did really well on the ones after that. But it was surface fishing at its best. It was it was great. Really good fun.
You talk about Rich Stewart. How good do you think your friends really are then, Jim?
How good are my friends?
Yeah.
He's probably sabotaged me on this, something like that. But no, Rich, I've known him for a number of years now, and do you know what? We don't see each other very much. I think I last saw Rich maybe a year ago, maybe more, but we speak nearly every day. So I guess that shows sign of a good friendship, really. We talk about anything, all sorts.
Have you got that picture up there, Tobe? We've got a list of Jimmy-isms here. Oh, God. And this has come from Rich Stewart.
Oh, has it? Oh, there's a surprise. Yeah, I thought Neil might be included on that as well. He
didn't have time, did he? But I'm sure other people would have added to this as well.
Rich Garth and
I was reading these before we recorded. Some of them
they're great, mate, aren't they?
Well, they are looking back, yeah. But at the time, I got there's loads.
So we got Jimmy's pearls of wisdom up here.
I think we need to. What I think we need to do is get Jimmy to read each one out in his own. It's got to come from Jimmy himself, isn't it?
Of course it does,
mate. None of these have been made up either. And how are there so many? Like, how is
he's such a good sport as well, isn't he?
How have these been remembered? He's either put them down as we've gone along over the years and just kept it? Or he's just remembered all this?
No, I texted Elliot last night, right? And they were just flowing off the top of his head.
Really?
He knew a lot of these.
So they just remembered him?
They just remembered
Well, how
them.
can they be that interesting? Come on.
I don't know.
They are very sad people.
Well, let's let the audience be the judge of this. So go on. What the first one?
Oh, I've got to read these, have I?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I think the first one was something to do with.
Get me some self-grating cheese. What is?
So I basically just mean like the packeted cheese.
Yeah, get me.
But I think it was like lunchtime at DHP, and someone said, "Do you want me to grab you anything from the shop?" So I've said that, and obviously just mean the packeted, already grated cheese. Obviously, cheese doesn't grate itself.
I'm thinking it's really high-tech, self-grating block of cheese.
Maybe we're looking into the future with that one, Jim.
Yeah. We'll take some sentimentals. Yeah, that. You know what I'm saying with these, don't you?
You do.
But that's what makes them funny.
The Citizens Advice. But
We'll
is that a
take
news agent? Yeah, that was.
So did you really think Citizens Advice was a news
bad
agency?
one? Probably at the time.
Yeah.
I'd have been like 20, but yeah, probably should have been
I'm
a bit
just
more.
going to jump straight to one.
A bit more educated than that.
No, I like the next one, Tom.
Oh, go on. What's that?
Simple minds think alike.
That sounds like a made-up one, but it definitely wasn't.
I mean, it's really close, and we might have simple minds.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
I've got a very simple mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I've got to say, my one's a little bit on the inappropriate side, but it's I'd like to eat her head like a human cannibal. Where did that come from?
I do remember it, yeah. I just said some ridiculous things, didn't I? I'd be like a sack up a drain pipe.
Yeah.
Like a bag of bulldozers. Yeah, I just don't know why.
This is where Darryl Peck rises to the plate.
Oh, mate. I like that one. Surrounded by fields of golden rape and runner beans. See, I think at the time,
so
right,
poetic, isn't
we
it?
we were sort of writing for the magazine. Probably shouldn't be looking at some of these. But Rich was always all his stuff was always beautifully written. I think at the time I was probably trying to write a bit more like Rich, but I've always been told sort of since then. I was naive and young then, and yeah, you read stuff that Rich wrote. I was like, that's beautifully written, like Chris Yates. Do you know what I mean? And I can't write. I'm not as educated as Rich, and not as good as English as Rich. And I tried writing like that, and obviously it didn't work. But after that, the sub-editors were just like, just write as you would, would talk, not like someone else. And that's stuck with me ever since, to be fair.
Not like that's like the kettle boiling the pot black.
No, surrounded by fields of golden rape and runner beans.
Oh, mate.
Yeah.
There's
So many
loads,
good
isn't
ones
there?
there.
But I'm sure everyone will have fun reading them all.
But it's a sign of endearment, though, isn't it, as well?
I hope so.
It is, isn't it? And
Yeah, it was. You grow up, don't you? But
we got different intelligences as well, haven't we?
yeah,
I mean, you're
that very limited, I think.
right. Actually, at the start of the show, which is not quite the start of the show now, we always ask for a nice gift. I can see you've got something nice.
I have,
for us.
yeah. So this is. I don't know whether you might be able to relate to it a bit, Si, but back when when I was very young, sort of 8-10 years old, I watched all the Go Fishing films, as you do. Used to stay up. They were late night at first, weren't they? They were like 11 o'clock or something.
Channel 4, weren't they?
Channel 4, ITV, I can't remember. But
did you watch the very first ones?
how...
I don't know. The very first ones
there
were
was all
late
sorts.
80s.
He did a few, didn't he? He was like around the world and then normal Go Fishing. But whenever he was barbel and chub fishing on the rivers, he had an Avon quiver tip.
He did, yeah.
And after many years, my old man Father Christmas got me one for Christmas. So this was that rod, and I went on to catch my my first ever barbel on this rod at about, I don't know, I was probably 10 years old, 12 years old, something like that. And it brings back a lot of memories of fishing on the rivers with my old man and stuff. So
Yeah, massively.
and
you've got the cork. Oh, you've got the combo, haven't you?
This is the cork, sort of combo and mice bitten.
You can see that, yeah.
Yeah, it's been in the shed for a while, but I took it out last year for a bit. But it's an old rod. You can tell when you use it.
It's nice to see those. Do you know what? My mate had one of those, and I don't remember them looking like that. They look so old-fashioned now,
mate.
don't they?
Yeah, I mean, at the time, though, it was like, that is the rod. I had to have that big white tip.
That's right. Yeah.
Just a beautiful rod. So lots of memories with this rod, mate. Like I said, my first barbel, and then a lot of river fishing after that. So
When was the last time you used it then?
I took it out last year actually for some perch fishing, and it had a slightly different action to my more updated perch rods, but a beautiful rod all the same, mate. But yeah, so it's a bit of a. I spoke to Richard Stewart last night. I can't believe you're giving that away.
Wow.
But, thought it was a really nice gift, and I know it'll be treasured here. So. Yeah,
and you've been making a comment about everything on the table.
I know,
and everything. It's like
just up on that wall there.
We promise. That is. Thanks very much for that. I can imagine how sentimental that is. Yeah.
Yeah, special. Actually, you'll notice that it's quite short. It's like what's that? Half a foot short.
You snapped the end off of it.
Yeah, I did. And this was back in the day as well. I think I'd had it like a few months, and I'd part of the tip sort of splintered and came off, so I had to have it sort of burnt and blobbed. I think they heat it up, etc., and that's why it's a bit shorter.
You remind me, my friend, I can't remember, I know that there was one night we were fishing on the River Thames, and my dad was due to come and pick us up.
Right.
And, as usual, you fish right until the last minute. We had about a half a mile walk back to where he was picking us up from. And we started to go across this field full of cows.
Right.
And they started chasing us. So we dropped all our fishing gear and just legged it. When we got back to our fishing gear, all the rods were broken. And I think my mate had one of those Avon rods.
Really? Mate, it brings back...
Sorry, Jay, can I get you to lie down on the floor, mate? Is that all right?
Yeah, could just lie down.
Sorry, mate.
Yeah,
can you lie down on the floor? That's a strange request.
I'm going to lie down now,
we get some funny... you get some funny... demands from Toby, don't you? So you don't know what he's going to ask next.
That's a bit strange, Toby.
Yeah.
But no, that just looking at that now brings back, a lot of memories. That first barbel that I ever caught. It's a shame I haven't got a picture of that actually. I will have at home, but it'll be like a printout. I used to work. Wasn't really part time because I was too young to work, but there was a little shop in Newport Pagnell called M&J Angling, and it was a pet shop and a fishing shop at the same time. Now the guy that worked there, Justin, was like a little local hero to me. Like he used to win some of the matches, but he used to fish for barbel and stuff as well. And I used to go in there as a young lad at, I don't know whether I'd have been like 12, 13, I'm not sure what age, but my mum would drop me off in there, and he sort of took me under his wing a bit. He knew that I was a bit of a punisher, in the nicest sense, like I was keen, really keen. And Mum used to drop me off in there. And eventually he sort of said, would you like to come in and do a bit of work in here? Like, I'll give you a bit of tackle. You can serve people maggots and stuff like that, because I don't think you're legally allowed to work behind the till and stuff. And he took me under his wing. And it was him that took me for that first barbel outing. There's the River Ouzel, which runs quite near to my house. It's a tiny little stretch, and one year the barbel had obviously moved out of the main ooze into this little ouzel, and they were almost like stuck there. There was like a bridge, sort of a dam at one end and a bridge and stuff like that, and they were just sort of stuck in this stretch. But they were big uns, they were like, at the time they were like 8 to 12 or 13 pound, which was, it's a big fish when I was 12, 13, still is now. But I remember him taking me after work one evening. We left the shop like 6 in the evening, and we were fishing in the dark, so I had a starlight on the end, and I remember fishing. I was getting all these little knocks for hours and hours. We were getting these knocks, and I was holding the rod like the whole time in anticipation for this barbel. And I remember at midnight it absolutely hooping over. End up landing this beautiful barbel. I think it was about £9. So for your first barbel,
wow.
It was absolutely massive. And he had this. He took me fishing this old Escort. Is it an Escort GTI? Like, so was that what they were called, or it was like this real banged up old car? XR. It was like an XR2i or something. Rapid little thing.
Yeah.
Red, like real Chadmobile, And I remember on the way.
Anyway.
It was something like that. It was old, like, but powerful little car. I remember him on the way home. We got stopped by the police on the way home, not for speeding or anything.
One of them, isn't it?
Yeah, probably ever so slightly newer than that. It was bigger than that. No, it was more saloony than that. Might have been like an XR. Yeah, it was more like, see that, the black one.
XR3i.
XR3i, it was something like that.
XR3 or XR3i.
Yeah.
It's not a bad motor, that.
No, it was a beast. And on the way home, I remember us getting stopped by the coppers, and he got done for something. Like, it wasn't speeding, I don't know if he'd run out of tax or something.
Right.
But it was the end. Like at the end of the night, it was like, well, I'm happy with my barbel. We've been stopped by the police, but yeah, it just brings back memories. That quiver tip. Really
Did you when you caught your first bite? Could you see him, or was it too deep to be able to actually see the fish?
You could see them. In the daytime there was like a big bridge, and you would stand over, on the bridge and look down, and you would see them. But we fished into night, and I remember with these barbel, like you often get it with barbel. They're like. You get all these taps for ages, and he's like, "It's gonna go, mate." That's them checking it out, and eventually it did. And
I think seeing a barbel for the first time on the bank,
ridiculous, mate. Watching them flank and stuff.
It's more spectacular.
Oh, mate, yeah, they're just. To this day, I keep saying, I've got to do a season for real big uns.
Did you ever go to Adams Mill?
I did, but I was a little bit young at the time. This was probably around that time of the big Adams Mill barbel, maybe slightly after the Adams Mill barbel. But I was just a bit of I was too much of a novice back then. You had what was his name, Greg? I forget his name now, but you had some incredible.
My friend was
anglers
fishing.
there.
I've mentioned it on the podcast before. Stuart Court,
yeah.
He was,
Ray Walton, I think it might have been. He was up there at the time.
Yeah,
and I forget some of the other, but they were big, serious barbel anglers.
Yeah,
and me turning up with my little Avon quiver and that probably would have snapped in half at the time. But
it sounded amazing though. That did
mad place.
When Stu tells us stories about that.
Yeah.
Just to think that those barbel were just confined to the end of a farmer's field.
Yeah. But it was like I remember back then it was like lining up on a linear in the morning. You'd turn up at 8, there'd be a big line of cars there. It was like that on the river. Yeah. Because they were just there was.
It got a bit out of control, really.
It got a bit stupid down there. Yeah.
People fishing opposite each other.
Yeah, just no one caring. They just wanted a record. But I've actually got a lake really close to that, almost a stone's throw away of that. That I fish with some really nice carp in. So I fish right near Adams Mill now. Yeah, it's pretty cool, yeah.
Oh, maybe in the future anyway with that.
Yeah.
You were doing some fishing last night.
I was, yeah.
Monk's Pit?
Yeah, Monk's. Went there yesterday morning, turned up. Normally like to do a few laps with the bucket. You bucket, you swim over there. There's like a little rule on there. There's a few people on. Derek Ritchie was there, so you knew he was there.
Oh, right, yeah, I'm sure, yeah.
And a few others. It was clear that the fish were down one end, so I put a bucket in behind Dell, and I caught a couple yesterday. Had a couple of bites, up to 38. So
very nice.
That'll do, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I'm actually going to head back there after this. Yeah.
Whoa! Look at that.
Yeah, that's him. He's quite a sad looking old Simon, that one.
It's a bit like thanks.
He looks a bit sad. He's
got that sort of parry sort of look about him, hasn't he? Actually,
he's one of these sort of older simmos in that lake. The other one I had was was a belter, but that was a brute.
We love carp like that though, don't we?
I like all carp, mate, if I'm honest. But he was a belter. That was a real nice one. He was just over 30. Went crazy in the kelp buoyed.
Right.
So yeah, that was a nice brace for an afternoon.
Yeah. And I've seen you've done some float fishing on there as well. And
I have.
We've got some really nice video footage of that.
Yeah, last week was crazy. When it was like 30 degrees, wasn't it, last week? And they were all up the deep end. And I don't think many people do loads of floater fishing on there. It's not really the done thing. I know a couple that have. And they said they do like a floater. And I went up there on that boiling hot day and got them going wild and caught 3 to, I think it was 37.
This is an awesome clip. This
yeah,
we love this. We're watching this live.
I mean, I do like a diary piece for Sipography, so I try and document as much as I can without affecting me fishing.
Cool. Al's going to love you for this, isn't he?
I'd hope so, yeah. Come on. That's like a GoPro on my head, of course.
So you've just cast it out now.
You can see them all feeding out there.
How many fish do you think were feeding out there at that time?
There were a lot going, mate.
Yeah?
30 fish maybe. Yeah.
I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's a wicked bit of fish.
It's crazy. And the thing I do about the float fishing, I'm very much sort of a sight angler when it comes to surf fishing. By that I mean lots of people will try and get the fish to hook themselves on the way to the float, etc., etc. But I like to see the hook bait if I can. So just put a little bit of pink on top and.
Well, it looked like there. I mean, it didn't look obvious that there was a hook fish there. You looked like you actually saw it and struck.
Yeah, I did.
How far out were you fishing?
I do. That's got to be 70 yards probably.
It looks
something
a good
like
distance.
That. Yeah, I was fishing quite long.
So could you not get the fish in closer then?
No, they were a bit funny. A few were feeding closer,
Yeah.
but the bulk sort of, if you've cast a couple of times, they drift out a bit.
And I noticed, have we actually got the fish there, Tope?
Yeah.
I've noticed as well with so you feed trout pellets as well. You're feeding pellets.
Yeah, a mixture, mate. I use they're floating pellets.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 6 millers, 11 millers, and your normal dog biscuits.
You mix it up.
Yeah, like chum mixers. I buy them from the shop,
Yeah.
and then use just normal floating pellets as well.
And just bombing that out.
Just bombing it out, like a mixture of sizes. Don't like to just feed the one size.
How are they responding to that spom then?
Oh, mate, they didn't mind in there.
In a positive way? do you
Yeah,
think?
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
they knew it was food. Yeah.
Yeah.
The seagulls were a little bit of a pain.
Yeah.
But generally, if you leave your floating braid out there, it tends to put them off.
Does
I
it?
got through a lot of mixers.
I
The
love
ducks
that
were-
GoPro
ducks were
footage.
annoying.
Sorry, Jay, that's just it's
Yeah,
wicked footage. That
you
mate.
feel like
makes
you're
Yeah,
there.
that's it.
Oh, yeah.
I know. It's really deep water there as well.
I've
so-
only done a little bit of float fish, but when you get the bite, it's wicked.
Oh, mate, yeah.
I've done so little of that recently. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like,
It's the best. It's the best.
well,
man.
it is. And if you're a traditional angler,
Yeah.
it's like whatever tactic. I've
Ah.
seen other stuff that you've done. You're always looking for different ways
Oh,
to
I
catch
love
them
it.
as well.
Yeah, surface fishing's just. If I could only catch them one way, that'd be it. It's all
Yeah.
sight fishing, isn't it? You can see everything
Yeah.
that's going on, and that
But-
was a cool day. Yeah.
Back to your old barbel fishing, really. That
Yeah,
sort of
yeah.
stuff where we all used to go down the river and just look at the fish and catch them properly.
Exactly.
Like that.
Yeah, I've caught some lovely fish, like seeing them and setting little traps and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
and on
it's
monks
good.
as well then, so that's not a common occurrence, you said then. So the other
I
guys
don't know.
wouldn't
I
necessarily
don't think
be doing
so.
that.
I haven't seen loads of float fishing. A friend of mine, Dan, who was with me then, he surface fishes on there, and he tipped me off saying it's a really good surface water. So when the conditions were right, I did it. That was only my second session ever on there.
Yeah.
I've only had the ticket for a month or something.
Have you? Right.
Yeah. So
Is it a difficult ticket to get hold of now?
I think so. It's a bit recommendation-y.
Yeah.
If you're known and liked by someone on there and they put you forward, then you can. So yes, I think it is, but not if you know a few people that put a good word in for you, really. So
And is it a lake? So obviously you've got different fishing scenarios on there as well.
Yeah,
you can do a bit of everything.
it's so different. It's very different to my normal fishing, really. Like some things we'll touch on later on have been campaigns for certain fish, big windswept waters. But this is there's a lot of big fish in there. I just fancy a go at catching a good head of big uns.
Mixing it up with more anglers as well. I notice with your stuff
Yeah.
as well, you're not always. There don't seem to always be a lot of anglers around.
No,
where
there
you're fishing.
aren't. No, I generally don't like fishing busy places with loads of anglers. But this place isn't busy, but you might get 4 or 5 on. But yeah, the places that I've fished in the past, you might not get anybody on.
Yeah.
But I like to mix it up, mate. Sometimes I'll fish a busy park lake with cyclists and everything. Other times I like a really nice, quiet, on my own, me and my dog. you know.
Right. Yeah, I noticed you take the old dog review as
yeah,
well.
I love taking him. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
going to take it. I would have taken him to Monks, but I didn't want to leave him in the van and that. I don't know whether he'd have been all right in here. He'd probably been jumping all over us. So, yeah, there he is. Yeah, there's the new little one.
So we've got half the family there.
Yeah,
How old's she?
Yeah, she's 6 months now. Bless her. Apparently, she slept unbelievably last night, and I wasn't there. I actually slept terribly last night as well.
I know when I put the other podcast, the Nash podcast, you were talking about families and stuff. Did you always envisage yourself being a family man then?
Yeah. I envisaged probably having just the one to begin with, but I don't know. I've got a sister, and Faye and I were talking, and she's got a brother. So to have a brother or a sister for Huxley, it was something like we were just like, let's do it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's beautiful. He treats her like an absolute princess. Like he's his pride and joy, which is great. I hope that continues. Oh, he is. He's amazing with her.
How do you like to bring your kids up then? Trying to expose them to everything. Or?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah, I mean Hux is he's 4 now. We go to the driving range. We go catch roach. We kick a football in the garden. We go climb. Yeah, all sorts, everything, mate. I just want him to be. I think he's definitely taking after me and Faye. She's very competitive.
Yeah, I heard you
wants to
mention.
be good at stuff, and he's.
Crikey, I'd imagine the two of
definitely
you,
wants to win.
blimey, that must be that.
Mate, we go.
That's why you have to separate yourselves from
mate.
each other, I guess.
We before Hux, we used to go and play badminton together. Now she's very good at sport, like very good. And I like to think I'm good at sport, but we play badminton, and she's as good as, if not better than me at that. And I think I'm all right at badminton. And I used to get so angry, mate, like really angry. And we.
Do you think that's a good thing in sport?
I think you need to be that competitive nature. Yeah, I was like that on a football pitch though, quite snappy, and I think for some it is, for some it's not.
Yes.
I think it depends what sort of person you are.
I think someone like Andy Murray.
Yeah.
Tennis players seem to like, especially.
Yeah.
But I think you can look at people like that and they can set the wrong example.
Yeah.
Because for some people, once they get angry, you've lost control.
Absolutely.
You're not in control.
No.
Whereas Andrew,
that's me.
Is it?
Yeah. Once I'm furious, I said like.
Oh yeah, I'm the same.
Just your head's gone, isn't it?
Totally gone.
Yeah.
But I think it varies from sport to sport as well, because if I get really angry at golf, I'll be terrible after that. I lost it. You know, you want to snap your club. Head's gone. And that happened last week in a competition. My dad was like, "Why are you being such a Burke for?" Because I'm playing badly. Like, and if you play off a reasonable handicap, if you play badly, you could have knackered it in the first 2 holes, and I had knackered it in the first 2 hours. I may as well go home. Like, I'd lost my head. But like in something like football, if someone had challenged me hard, because I played a good standard of football, and if someone hit me hard, I'm like, right, and that I'd be socked up and pumped for the game.
I was going to say, you're obviously a much better footballer than I was, because for me, if I was angry in football, like you said, you get a challenge, you think, no, I didn't like that.
Yeah.
Like you said, you're pumped for it.
Yeah,
you go and try and, give it one back.
Yeah, but
and it's mistimed, or you totally.
But it wouldn't be like going to mow them down. It would be a real, or like if I felt that person was like a bit quicker or a bit better in the air than me, it would make me strive to be better, you know.
I think with those, but football's a lot more dynamic than golf.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So football, you can play on a lot of adrenaline more. Whereas with golf, adrenaline, you might be able to hit the ball further at times, but if it gets too much,
you've got to be relaxed in golf.
You've got to be able to control your mind, don't you?
Being relaxed is, I'm lucky to know some really good golfers. And
who do you play golf with?
As in
professional golfers, don't you?
Yeah, we've played with Andy Sullivan and some really good golfers, and like they're so calm, I know some aren't, like Tyrrell Hattons and that, a fucking nightmare on the course, but most golfers have like coaches like that keep them calm. They might go to yoga and stuff like that, and just they learn to keep calm on the course.
You play with Dovey a lot, don't you?
Play with Dovey, a lot, yeah.
Got straight up question: who's better, you or him?
You can't ask me that.
That's getting clear.
Well, you're better.
On paper.
Yeah.
In a handicap scenario, I am. Okay. But he's a determined little bugger, as we all know, in life. So I think Tom will end up better than me if he keeps going. But at the moment, I'm better.
Yeah, there you go. That was the real answer.
Yeah, I know. But getting back to your kids and stuff as well. I mean, do you know, my friend was... he'd be listening to this. He'd like a mention on this.
Yeah.
He played for Reading, Southampton.
Oh, wow.
Got right up to sort of reserve team standard, and
nice.
Unfortunately didn't quite make it on from there.
Yeah.
He said his other brother's a very good footballer as well. He said his third brother was a lot younger. As soon as he was born, he can remember him growing up, looked at the way he moved and stuff.
Yeah.
He said he just doesn't move right.
Really?
Just knew as a kid. You could see the way they move.
I can see what he means by that a little bit. Yeah, I think you can tell, can't you, whether they've got it or not, quite from an early stage. Like with Hux, we again, this is going back to me and Faye. We'll be in the lounge or in the kitchen, and we'll be at the table. We'll be like throwing bits of paper into the bin and stuff like that, and he's like hooping it every time. Like, I hope he's like carries on like this.
Yeah,
he might be really good at something. So.
You're pretty motivated.
Probably won't be spelling or saying just.
We can't be good at everything, mate, can we?
No,
we can't. I know you make up for it in other areas. You're very motivated, aren't you? You can see that.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
You put a lot of. I noticed on your Instagram stuff as well. A lot of it's instructional as well. That means a lot to you to try and educate people.
Yeah, I get a bit of a kick out of helping people out for sure. I love it if I receive a message, and I mean I've had it a few times recently with the floater fishing. Just that little tip with putting the pink on top of the, so you can see it and striking rather than just letting them hook themselves. I've had a few messages saying, "Here you go, mate. Like this is one I had last week on that little floater tip you gave me." And that, yeah, that's nice.
Was this where you were
that's what I'm
cutting
trying to do?
Sorry, where you were cutting the floater out?
Yeah, that's it. So I sort of get a sort of a drab coloured pop up, like a brown coloured pop up, trim it down to like a mixer sort of shape, sort of score it with some scissors or a Stanley knife. Put the hook in the middle of that, and then sort of on the reverse side, I'll cut out a sliver of pink pop up, glue it to the top. So the fish aren't seeing the pink; they're seeing the brown from the bottom, but you are. So you can see it,
That's
decent
a really good
range,
idea.
even in the winter.
That's a great idea.
Rather than just a brown mixer that you can't see at all.
Yeah, I like that.
I found that when I went, that was my biggest problem. I couldn't see it.
You miss so many, mate.
I couldn't see it.
No, and they don't hook themselves all the time. They don't.
No.
It's a fact. They just don't. So you seeing them and striking, I think you convert so many more than just waiting for them to
There's going to be
themselves.
there's going to be a nice clip of me coming out that you'll really enjoy. When I went float fishing with Dino for Fishing Gurus, I'd never float fished before in my life.
Oh really?
No, never done it. And they've got a good one of me. So they've got a shot of fish basically taking my bait constantly and stuff like that. And then they've got shots of me standing on the bank just looking into nothing, thinking.
Well, they're going, time strike.
And they go, well, they can't because we're filming, so they can't shout strike. And they're all going,
waiting for
what are you doing? So,
good angling, mate.
Yeah, great angling. So he said, we're going to get some nice elevator music and some crickets going.
and
then all these close-ups of fish going like that.
Oh, mate.
I thought, cheers, lads, thanks.
Yeah, but we look forward to seeing that.
I can't wait.
Anyway?
Yeah, very soon, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'll watch that time.
Yeah, no, that's a good tactic, and you don't find that people are not necessarily doing that type of thing? Cause
no, far from it. It's crazy to everyone wants to learn something, and it's I like to help people out. So that's the way I go on my Instagram. Yeah.
Getting back to Monk's Pit, I mean, is that going to be a long campaign on there?
I think Monks will be like I haven't got like a long campaign on Monks or anything. It's not that sort of water, but it's somewhere I can go and you can catch big fish. You're always in with a chance every time you go. What are you fishing for in Monks now? Oh mate, there's a very very good head of 40s, a few 50s now as well. So yeah, it's a bit of it's a big fish venue with plenty of them. But I've got a few sort of other lakes up my sleeve that I'm raring to go on for more target fish. You try and fish more locally generally. I try to, yeah. With two young uns, I mean, she's great. She like 2 nights a week is what I do, not every week, but try to. So yeah, I do try to fish close to home, but it's getting more difficult now. The lakes. I've fished a lot of them close to home now, so I travel to Cambridge a bit, which is about an hour. Yeah, so it's fairly close to home. But I heard you mention, these waters are still out there. These untapped waters are still out. Yeah. Is it as easy as just looking on an ordnance survey? No. I know you said that. You have to spend time, don't you, looking at places. I'm lucky now. 'Cause I'm self-employed, so I can pick and choose my diary a little bit. So I may leave a day free just to go walking around some lakes that I've found, and of course you hear whispers from other people as well. I've got a lot of good friends in carp fishing. You do hear about some lakes, but they are out there, mate. You just got to go walking, Yeah, really. Yeah, you do, and you could stumble across somewhere. Yeah, no, it's good to know that, isn't it? With they are there, mate. I've got a lake that's linked to golf a little bit. A guy who's my putting coach. Blimey, I sound like a pro. God, definitely not. It's only because I'm bad at putting. But he's got like a link to a golf club, and that golf club owner owns this big ski pit, and there's all skiing and everything on there. And we hear rumours of fish in there, and I know a few guys that have poached it in the past and had good, 40-pounders. Not stocked, like old ones that have just been in there, neglected. No one really fishes it other than these poachers. And these poachers say, if you can fish there, you need to go and fish there, mate. Really? So that's somewhere that, yeah. So back in the 80s and 90s, and, when 40-pounders were so thin on the ground, weren't they? I mean, they were just... they were. I've been seeing Richie a lot recently, and he caught, 4 different 40s. Really? Which was basically... In 1991, that was basically nearly all the 40s in the country. Yeah, but now you can turn up to these sort of lakes where they've not been
bred on bait or anything.
No,
they're just
there. Yeah, they're there over years and years and years.
Do you think it's just an age thing then? That if you left them long enough, they will just grow?
Yeah, I think so. And obviously depends on how much food. There might be loads of natural food in the lakes, and the lake in question is incredibly weedy. So no doubt it's full of life. Yeah.
And your site. I mean, it must be exciting to find a water and then find fish of that sort of size.
Yeah, I've got a couple on the burner, mate. There's another one. This hasn't got many fish in. This might have 9 or 10 carp in it. It's a big old farm reservoir. And there's one mirror in there that goes, I mean, it's not I ain't going to be beating PBs or anything, but it goes sort of 43, 44, but it's a real sort of loner. Like we think it's flooded into the river and then out of another lake and then flooded into this lake. So it's a quite cool little story. It's like a little wanderer, and I'm going to have a little go for him at some point. And that I'll have that to myself, like no one bothers with it. And in the past, I flitted with it in the past and caught a couple of small ones. But I saw some colossal perch in there as well, and like the river floods into it regular,
right?
But the lake is quite low, so I think everything that goes into it, but doesn't really come back out of it. And I've seen some serious perch in there, mate. Like, 5s and bigger. Like,
really?
Yeah, they're just bigger than that. I've caught some big perch. And
you got a 5-pounder?
No, I've had 4s, but not like 5 is just ridiculous, isn't it? And I think. Like, I'm not doing any of them down, but like 5s out of somewhere like that, and the rivers are just different. The holy grail compared to like a big reservoir.
Yeah, of course.
Don't get me wrong, they're impressive, and I'm going to do a bit of that as well. But those sorts of old neglected ones that have got in there and just grown themselves are just,
yeah.
I'm going to go back there.
And why can't they get back out then?
It's just lower than everything else, They've
got to go uphill to get back out.
Well, yeah, they've got to climb up the escalator. Yeah, it's just lower than everything else, and I think just flood into the river, flood back into the lake, and it doesn't flood as much as many of the lakes around there. Do
you find the area where you're from? Do you find that? Are you from sort of Cambridgeshire sort of area?
No, Newport Pagnell.
Newport Pagnell,
sort of Milton Keynes sort of area.
Do you find that's a good area generally for these sort of untapped waters a bit then? Yeah,
it's a good area. The beauty of Milton, it's kind of in the middle of everywhere. So I've got Northampton half an hour away. I've got Cambridge sort of 40 minutes away. It's obviously in Buckinghamshire. I've got Bedfordshire as well, so I'm kind of surrounded by mega counties. Like Milton Keynes itself, there aren't loads of lakes.
I fished. Do you remember? Linear used to be there.
Yeah, Great Linford probably was it?
Great. I fished Rockler Lake.
Yeah, Rockler. That's on the Great Linford complex. Yeah, I fished all like as a kid, mate, around there.
Did you?
I had did I have my first 30 out of there? No, but one of my first 30s was out of Rockler.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well, I remember fishing Rockler one Christmas about 30 years ago.
Yeah, fished well in the winter.
It did. Yeah, it did. I remember. I watched Carp Fever. Do you remember the Carp Fever videos that Maddox brought out?
Yeah, I do.
And he was fishing on Rockler Lake.
Right.
And we went there. We went there Boxing Day.
Right.
And we fished over the winter period. There was a swim there. We turned up there the week before.
Yeah.
And walked around there. And I saw this one swim. And I thought that's got to be the swim.
Can you remember where it was on the lake? Can you remember the lake like that?
It's quite a high bank behind me.
Was it? Right.
The island was right in front of me, and I was right on the end of the island.
Yeah.
So I was the end of the island was on my right hand side.
What you mean, yeah.
And it was fishing into a cove. There was a lovely little cove.
That was the way to do it on there. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. And that was my longest cast at the time. It was like 90 yards.
Was it?
And at night, sometimes if I was a bit late getting the rods out, we'd have to turn the headlights on the car to go.
Yeah, you could drive around. Yeah, it was quite handy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, mega. I grew up fishing all round there, mate. Great Linford Lakes. I grew up fishing.
What about Alder Lake? Did you ever?
I've never fished Alder. No, back in the day, that was like the one. The funny thing is this lake that I'm talking about. Some of them fish would have come from round there.
Oh, would they?
Like flood, because the complexes have flooded like crazy over the years. I mean, there was some big floods. A long time ago, 10, 15 years ago, huge floods around Newport Pagnell, and all the lakes were like almost one. And all the fish had a bit of a wander, I think. And I'm pretty sure that some of them originate from like Alder and around there. So
they got some history, haven't they?
Yeah, it's mad. Yeah.
What, they're not gravel pits. No, they are gravel pits. Aren't
they?
they?
They will be. Yeah. There's all sorts around there, mate. It's still going like Great Linford now. It's nothing like it was, I don't think. But
was it Black Horse as well, wasn't it?
Black Horse, yeah. There was Black Horse, Poplar, Arboretum.
Yeah, that's right.
Park Farm 1 and 2. Yeah, it's a good little complex. A lot of history there. And they had the big championships there, didn't they, at one point?
That's right.
Sony Carp champs or something like that. I was only a baby back then, but yeah, I remember them.
I mean, obviously Carp angling is pretty big around the area, but like you say, it's have you ever found? I don't necessarily associate you so much with like the big circuit waters. Is that
maybe
right?
not so much, mate. I think of big circuit. Yeah, I probably I stay clear of the whole sort of Yateley Brigade and all that. I mean, again, all of that was probably I was probably slightly young to be involved with that sort of era, really, but. If that was now, I wouldn't be doing that.
Wouldn't
you?
you?
No, I don't think so. No.
Still try and find your own places.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I've got a quick question for James, mate. James, I'm going to bring it back to your Korda days, if you don't mind. A nice, easy question for you. Who's Harry the Heron?
God, yeah. I would love to have brought that heron in as a gift.
Right.
That would but I don't know where he's gone. But yeah, we were doing the underwaters at Linear. In Dancourt, the big plate is the big plate. Unfortunately, I wasn't there for that, but I sort of helped set them up and bits and bobs. And I was there for the first few days, and I remember it was raining, and the first few days were really hard work. In fact, I'm not even sure we saw any fish.
It took a long time, didn't it? It was a bit cold, wasn't it?
Well, that's when I was there, and then I think I left because nothing was really happening. And but I remember like on the second or third day, like poor old Dan, he was getting a bit fed up, at the time, and the ducks were diving on his baits, being like you'd see these big like duck heads in front of the screen, nicking all his boilies. You know what Dan's like he wants it to be perfect. Clearly spent loads, spent lots of money on the film and all that. He wants it to be right. I remember him like,
sorry,
I hope you don't mind me doing this. Right, he said, Jimmy, mate, you need to help me out here, mate. These ducks are being a right pest. I need you to go and get a bird of prey, mate. And he knows I talk like this, so he won't take offence over it.
You sound a little bit like
that was quite good.
A tiny bit like him.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, because I know he wasn't beggar happy at the time. I thought, I need to go and find a bird of prey. Does he mean like a stuffed one or what? He clearly did. Like you could put on a big fence post or something. I thought, I've gone off in my van. I thought, where am I going to go?
I wouldn't know where to start.
Where am I going to go? Like a pet shop or something? Where the fuck? I think it was like Millets or something. I don't know Millets. It was something like that, like an old farm shop in Oxford.
Has he been watching like Passion for Angling or something?
Maybe, yeah. And like something to scare the ducks off because he was getting so fed up with them. I don't blame him. And I'm looking around this shop and I'm trying to find a bird of prey, and
did you ask him for a bird of prey?
No, I felt a bit embarrassed. So in this shop, all I could find was this plastic crow and a plastic heron. Oh, well, is a heron a bird of prey? I don't know, really. It just eats fish and stuff. I don't know. The ducks would be scared of it. It's definitely not, is it? So I've ended up buying this heron. Yeah. And I remember going back, and it was pouring with rain. Dan was in the video. I thought it'd be funny just to sort of poke the heron round the side. Hello, mate. I'm Harry the Heron. He's like, Jimmy, mate, what is that? That ain't going to scare nothing, mate. But you could see he was angry, but also laughing at the same time. And we just had a chuckle, mate. And of course, he didn't use it to scare the ducks. And that Harry the Heron just ended up sitting on my desk in Korda.
I think we need to.
So what was it? A full-size heron, was it?
Yeah, it was a decent size heron.
Decent size.
Plastic, very sharp beak. But clearly he
so you didn't even try it?
I don't think he tried it. I think he felt a bit, yeah.
I've got another golden one from Jimmy's olden days at Korda, Si.
This is where you're coming in very handy.
I've got a few. Yeah, don't worry. This is a really good one.
There's plenty of nuggets, I'm sure. Yeah.
We left in charge of a few cameras, expensive cameras.
I've heard about this. Yeah.
Yeah, a few.
Just a few. Yeah, not one, was it?
Mate,
or two?
No. Yeah, I've had several cameras at Korda. I've driven over them, I think, 3 times. 3 different cameras.
That's what I wanted to ask you. I made sure.
How do you
manage that?
Well, the first time I got away with it a bit because I was fishing on the canal, and I was parked on a bit of a slope, and it was night. I'd fished till like 9 o'clock in the evening with my Sony A1 video camera, and I'm putting all the gear in the car. You know when you walk back to the car, you dump all your gear by the boot, open the boot up, put everything in. But the camera had somehow toppled underneath the car, and I've shut the boot and everything. Hopped in. It was the van at the time. Hopped in the van, and just stuck it in reverse. Started reversing. And I thought, it's a couple of bricks or something. Like, donk, like over these bricks, like donk, donk, donk. And I'm like, all right, yeah. And then and my heart just sunk, like, because I've looked over to the passenger seat, and I keep the cameras on the passenger seat because it's like the safest place. And it's not there, is it?
There's that feeling where your stomach goes.
Oh no! It's like $2,000 worth of Sony A1 back then. So I mean, now it's a crappy camera, but back then it was a great camera.
I can imagine, yeah.
And I've driven over it. Like, opened the glass, it's all smashed to bits. There's like that gooey stuff on the screen everywhere, and it's knackered. So that was that. Took it to Damo, and he sort of understood it. He easily done it.
Don't worry, mate. We'll get you another one.
Yeah, it was fine. Like, he was fine. And then I did it with. I was with Elliot at the time. I just filmed him come back, and pretty much the same thing, just reversed over it. That was the second time. Damo, like, slightly angrier that time. You do it again, you're paying for it, sort of thing.
It's like my laptop a little bit.
Then I think
he's beating you, mate.
Yeah, without a doubt.
There's one more.
I think they probably decided to insure it by then. And so the third time I was down at Aquatels, which is round here somewhere, I think, near Bas Vegas. And so I've been at Aquatels with Pecky, done my A1 camera stuff. And this time I've got a nice big camera bag. And in that camera bag is my camera and all my lenses. And laptop, just like this, just fit nicely in the top. Like, shut it up, lovely. And this time, but I haven't learnt my lesson for the third time. I've put it next to the car. It's toppled under the car.
Mate, you got to stop.
This time, I've reversed over it again, but it wasn't as bad this time because it didn't go donk. All I heard was like a skid, like a. It's clearly like it's just latched onto the wheel, and I've just pulled it along, but I haven't driven over it. And I've looked at Pecky, and he's like, "Oh no, that's your camera, innit? Oh no." You know, that was like, "Oh no."
Yeah.
And I've looked at it, like, we need to. And this time I've opened my laptop. The laptop's like split. All the camera equipment under it is knackered again. And Daryl's like, "You can't tell him that this has happened. This is the third time, Jimmy. You need to lie. You've got to lie. You can't tell him again."
What were you thinking in that third time? You're like,
"Oh, I'm like, Damo's I'm paying for this. Like, I'm getting a warning. You know, and this can't happen again. Or I'm being taken off the future jobs." For me.
Go on. So you had to face Damo.
Yeah. So me and Daryl are like in the office. We were downstairs. Damo's office was
upstairs. You took Daryl with you, did you? Or?
Daryl was coming back anyway for some new hooks or something, and we're sitting in the office like racking our brains, like what story can we say? And we couldn't really think of anything. He's like, "You've got to lie. You can't tell him."
She just says been nicked or something.
Well, something like we just couldn't. But I don't like lying. That's not. Right. I don't like telling porkies, and I get caught. I'll get caught. He'll know I'm lying. Like my missus, if I do a little white, she knows because I'll start laughing as I'm saying it. So.
Can you imagine laughing, telling him that?
Mate, I can't tell porkies. It just and. I went straight up there and I just told him the truth in the end. But he knew I was a bit scared, like telling him. And Damo can be fierce, like when he wants to be. You know what I mean? His eyes are. But he just started laughing in the end. I couldn't believe it. Just started laughing.
Caught him on a good day then.
Yeah, so I got away with it. They paid for it, replaced it.
That's
and,
great,
but I've never broken one since. Touch wood.
Are these sort of catastrophes? Are these confined to just fishing or everyday life?
Am I a calamity in life? No, I'm probably not too bad. Around the house, I smash things up by accident and drop milk everywhere and all that sort of stuff. But no, I'm not too bad, I don't think.
And you've got a tolerant wife as well.
Extremely. She needs to be, yeah. I'm sure she would say I am a calamity.
We were talking about DHP and the connection with, you would think working for a publishing company that that might be kind of the end of the road, but it tended to lead to, other things, like with you with Korda and stuff as well.
Yeah, I think not for me and friends, really.
Yeah.
It was almost... I'd like to say it was a stepping stone to where I am now, really. And not in a nice way. They helped me build a nice name for myself. I learnt so much from some of the talented guys there. People like Jim Foster. I mean, what an unbelievable talent he was at the time. Off the wall, but just really cool.
What was David Hall like as a person?
Oh, the nuts, mate! What a bloke! I mean, do you know what?
Is he an angler?
Yeah, he loved his fishing.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's Marmite to a lot, but I got on really well with David. I think he thought, I like my sport, as we say. I played a decent standard of cricket as well, and it was DHP against another company in a cricket match one time. I remember scoring a century with Mark Coulson. Mark Coulson was a really good cricketer as well. Since then, I'm like David's golden boy. Like, I've scored a century, we've won the match. Like, and ever since that day, like, he's like, hey, get on at cricket with your football and all that sort of stuff. And I think David was quite a ballsy guy, like very upfront, and said. Do
you find that in life, that if you've got a lot of interests like you've got as well, it helps in so many different ways?
I think so, and that stood me in good stead at DHB, because I remember, like, as I progressed a little bit there, I wanted a pay rise. I'm working really hard here. I deserve a pay rise. And I remember, like, talking to my manager about it. I can't remember if it was Coulson or Foster or whoever at the time, but I mentioned it, and it never nothing ever happened. Like, for a few weeks, and I thought. I was stewing on it a bit, I thought, well, if they ain't going to do it, I'm going to do it myself. So I did. I puffed the old chest out, walked up the stairs, knocked on David's office, and he had a real, like, what can the office to be described as? A bit like an Al Pacino sort of office in Scarface, big leather chair, smoking on his old cigar and all that. Bit of
proper journalist.
He's great. He was a great bloke. Yeah, I just bowled straight up there. He was like, James, how can I help you? And I just sort of said, I've been working really hard, David. I deserve a pay rise. He was like, what do you think you deserve? How much? How much are we talking here?
That's so hard, isn't it?
I was like, well, I don't really know. I just want a bit of, thanks. And he's like, how does $3,000 on your paper get sold? I was like, it's fantastic, David. Thank you very much. Right, get off then. And that was it. Out the door, like, done. They got me pay rise just by sort of
fair play, admirable confidence there. That's
probably he liked it. I think he liked that.
Yeah, cool. It shows character, doesn't it?
It does, and
yeah,
I got on with him really well, David.
But you weren't necessarily you learnt the trade as you went along there, then.
Yeah, but the people there were fantastic. From like the Jim Foster, just an amazing, imaginative photographer.
That was a great era for those magazines, wasn't it?
Fantastic. This is when they were selling 20,000, 30,000 copies, And I actually worked on Irish Angler magazine.
Yeah.
It was my first thing. And Jim took me under his wing. I think he could see himself in me a little bit back then, a bit naive, a bit sort of starting out. And he would hammer me a little bit. You ask Rich Stewart or someone. They didn't really hammer Rich. And it wasn't, Rich will say to this day, it wasn't because Rich was all polished off by then. He just used to hammer me at the time. So hopefully he saw something, particularly with photography. Like, he'd have me taking 30 shots of a pencil, you know what I mean, until I got the perfect lighting, aperture, exposure, everything right. And I learnt a lot from Jim, yeah.
Did you, are you quite a creative person generally then?
I'd like to think so, yeah.
Did you realise that once you started working for a publisher, or was that there before?
No, it wasn't there before. Yeah. No, I've never been like a massive bookworm or or been into photography and everything. I think if you have the eye, you know what a nice shot will be, and you know how to frame a shot. That's half the battle. I think the technicalities of a camera you can learn, but that wasn't through reading books. Or I've never been into that. I was hands on with Jim. Was hands on with me and would teach me like face to face rather than reading it from a book or whatever.
Were they fairly flexible with you, in terms of pictures, or was it quite guided? Were they quite?
No. Jim was pure imagination. Like, I don't know whether Jim would have been like a fully qualified photographer. I think Jim probably taught a lot of it himself.
Yeah.
But no, it wasn't. I wouldn't say it was like structured. It was very. He used a lot of imagination. I think he sort of brought that to me a little bit as well.
You said it's uncanny because there are so many people. Jason here, you said Jason Umney was there. And
Jason came at a later stage. I think I'd gone from DHB, and then the omnivore, we call him, and then he joined.
The omnivore.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Why'd you call him that?
The omnivore.
Just rolls off the tongue.
It just works.
Yeah.
Jason Omnivore.
He's got a new name around here now.
Yeah. He joined. Slightly later stage.
Was it David that called him that?
I think Rich probably made that up. Rich had like nicknames for people.
Yeah,
and they were just lovely days, mate. Learnt loads from, like, the sub-editors there were amazing. You see some of my ridiculous sayings. They taught me how to how to write in my way, sort of thing, which isn't polished, far from it, but write how I sort of talk and act. You know?
Well, as we were saying on there, so if you found like nowadays, then you've you know who you are. You know, it's like,
absolutely,
this is it, and
absolutely. I think when you're younger, quite often you try to be a bit like him or a bit like what Heron's doing, sitting all like having your tea and all that. And
well, you're a bit of a carp tiger, aren't you?
Yeah. I just think you find your own path in the end, don't you? And
I think
you learn from people. Along the way,
No, but I you watch certain people, don't you, on film, and I think it's the kit you use and the way you actually fish.
Yeah.
It's a bit like Gaz or someone like that. It's that whole look, isn't it? And
there's definitely trends, isn't there? In carp fishing.
There's trends, but I can see as well that you're an all-round angler. And
Absolutely.
I think it's pretty relatable to everybody.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. You'll see my kit. You'll have a mixture of cool stuff and a mixture of very practical, good stuff.
I see that when you're baiting up and stuff. You've got quite old gear and stuff.
Yeah, some of it's
well.
old and some of it it's a real mixture. Like I've got Neville's, but then I've got like Aerotechnium Shimano reel. Like it's a weird combo, but I just like to do my own thing a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
Imagine where you would be if it wasn't. I mean, for publishing, if you're working for a publishing company, then it opened so many doors for so many people.
Massively.
Where would people go nowadays? Is it all about doing it by yourself and having to learn on your feet?
Definitely getting more so doing it yourself. Yeah, definitely producing content yourself. Definitely. Back then it was. Do you know what? Back then it was about us journalists going out with all the anglers like Ali or Damo or whoever. We'd shoot all the material for them and quite often write it all for them as well in the magazine days. Now I think, a lot of it's sort of producing your own content these days, and obviously the magazines are slowly, it's sad to see, they're slowly going down a little bit. I think, Carpology and Top Carp are still around and doing pretty well, I think.
But those guys back in the day then, it was pretty much left to you.
We would ghostwrite stuff.
Did you?
Yeah, big time. We'd take dictaphones and all that sort of stuff. And pretty much all the stuff was like that. Everything was done by us, really.
Yeah, no, crikey, how it's changed now.
Yes, yeah.
And what about nowadays? Now, I heard you say on a previous podcast that you decided to sort of go your own way.
Yeah.
And do your own thing, which I think is.
Yeah.
I can relate to that. It's like, I think it's important that we have a portfolio in our lives nowadays instead of just having one job. Yeah. So how's that gone for you?
Touch wood again, like it's the best thing I've ever done,
So you made a decision a few years back.
Yeah, it was when was it, last year? I think I've been doing it for about a year to a year and a half now, probably. Had a great job with CC Moore. Was like, European marketing manager. Decent role, very good wage, settled and everything fine. But I just didn't. I wanted to do my own thing. I didn't want phone calls from other people. Like I wanted to go my own way, and I got quite lucky with housing. We've had a few houses that we've rent out and sold on and done okay there. So I always had a bit there.
You've done that from a younger age.
Yeah, and we got house rent out now. It just brings income in every month. So there was always. It was always a risk, but it was never a huge risk.
Right.
Like me and Faye always said, if I ended up doing it and didn't have anything, we would still be okay, sort of thing.
Right.
But sort of moved out of employment. We obviously had the houses to fall back on. I knew I had a decent following. I always got asked for tutorials and everything as well, so I always had that there. Just came out of it, and.
What about now, a few years later? How does it? I mean, looking back, are you still happy with that decision?
Oh, massively, mate. Yeah, massively. I mean, the tutorials, I have to say no, like, to a lot of that now. I do like nice big groups of people now, sort of less regular, but bigger groups, sort of thing. Like I'm taking 5 guys to France in September. Booked the lake exclusively, big old lake, like 20 acres. Only 5 of us on the lake, and I'll just be riding around on a push bike all day, helping people, having a social. So you do this periodically, do you? Decide on a lake, book it, and then and you have no trouble filling spaces. Oh, mate, no, not at all. It's I could fill it. Yeah.
You must have some good experiences with people on tutorials as well. Is it a nice blend of people? You get some
characters. Do you know what? I haven't had many like that have been hard work. They generally, I think, because I mean, I compare it to me with golf. Like, I'm going to golf because I want to get a lot of information out of that pro golfer and learn. And it's the same with fishing. They're going on it because they want to learn from you. So a lot of them are very respectful and listen to everything you say, and hopefully they become a better angler.
Do you have like a curriculum for them, or just let them fish?
Yeah, no, I haven't got a curriculum for them, but I've definitely got a sort of a routine on them for sure. But not like a huge list of what we need to cover. But I've got a plan that a routine. And then if they want to learn anything extra, then we can.
Is it hard with the because I mean, obviously when people are paying to go fishing with you, there's expectation on you, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. One thing I always say, what I don't want people to come to catch a PB. Do you know what I mean? I don't want them just to come because they just want to go and catch a big carp. We could do that, but that's not what they're about. I want people to come and learn. I always say to them, look, because the lakes we go to aren't runs, not big runs waters or anything. They might not catch anything. And to be honest, on group tutorials, normally like 2 out of the 4 catch, but they might be a 30 pounder or a 31 pounder. But I say to them on them, like, you need to be prepared to blank. We're not just fishing. I want you to come here and go away and send me a load of PBs on your own.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you kind of just...
Yeah,
you're doing it all for them a bit if they're not learning anything, aren't you?
So when they're turning up, then are they pretty much taking their own stuff, or are you telling them pretty much what?
No, they bring all their own kit and everything. We take. I mean, I have like boxes full of tackle that they can use if, like, some of them turn up with, real naff gear, as in terminal. Most of them have beautiful rods, reels, lines, all that's lovely. But rigs, wires and hooks and all that's normally, a lot of them go cheap on that. And I think you've got all these beautiful rods. Get some decent tackle or bait,
That's what you hear so many times, isn't it?
Yeah, you do. But you can pick great rods up for, 100 quid now.
Yeah.
Use that other 100 quid to go and buy 10 kilos of tuna or go and buy, some sharp hooks or, the crack, mate.
Yeah, no, it is. It must be great to see people improving and making a difference.
It's mega, mate. And... I often get pictures. Do you know what's funny? Well, it's not funny, but I get quite a few people, like 2 or 3 of the people coming to France are people that have already done a tutorial. So it's obviously gone well because they want to come again.
Yeah.
So it's nice. I get a real kick out of the tutorial stuff.
And what about when you were at CC Moore as well? You still with CC?
Yeah,
so you're still doing stuff with them? Yeah.
Oh, they're good friends of mine. I have so much confidence in their bait. I'd be hard pushed to ever change, really. I've used it for a long time. I know what goes into it. I know who rolls it. I know what machines they use, ingredients, because I was there. So
that's really important to know nowadays, isn't it? Especially with bait.
And Ian Moore is so knowledgeable.
Yeah,
like, ridiculous. Blow your mind. It's not even worth talking about ingredients with him because he'll just.
You find a company like that because they jumped on the media stuff, quite early on as well, and you were employed specifically to do that.
Yeah, just well managed the whole marketing side, really.
Was that a suggestion that you brought to them, or they knew they needed somebody like you to do that?
They had I think they had someone originally. It wasn't wasn't doing what they needed. So I came on board, and I think I know I did take them to another level with media, filming, and employing people abroad. This is probably coming back from me Korda days. I made lots of fantastic contacts in Europe, likes of Etienne Giebel, like Gio over at Monkey, and people like that. I actually brought them into CC Moore, and they do work for CC Moore now, and that's catapulted them to a bigger position in Europe for sure. Because at the time they didn't have any of them names, but Etienne Giebel in Germany has got huge shop contacts. So all of a sudden we've gone from 2 shops to 20 shops in Germany. Then we've gone in Holland. We've gone, we've done this, and all of a sudden, they're making good money, and yeah, it's working.
No, absolutely, no, it is. And so you with Richard Monkey as well at the moment as well.
Yeah. Use them. Done some of the great escapes and stuff, and they're a good bunch of lads, real laddie lads. Do you know what I mean? We have a good crack. And
is there a lot of creative freedom with that stuff? Those great escapes.
Yeah, just a bit. Yeah,
it's just off the cuff, is it?
Actually, mad. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. They're proper lads that like to do laddie feet. We'll have races on jet skis, and we'll eat weird things and have a few beers. And I think that Great Escape shows like 3 or 4 lads going fishing and having a good time and catching a few whackers at the same time.
What do you think people want to watch nowadays then?
I don't know. A mixture, I think.
Yeah.
as a mixture.
I think there's so much out there now.
There is, yeah. There's so much good stuff out there, isn't there? There's the more serious stuff. You know, your terrier and going after special linear or telling his old stories in front of his fire and all that. And then you've got Carl and Alex that are just out there having fun and fishing for whatever. You've got there's so much out there. Vlogs, you know, loads of people doing vlogs now.
Yeah.
Some people like the rawness of vlogs and
I remember
typography, everything.
Yeah, I mean,
loads.
you know, 3 or 4 years ago, I mean, there was still plenty. I mean, obviously our stuff. There was plenty out there, but it wasn't too much.
No,
you know,
no.
it was. You
That's
know, and I used
right.
to watch, you know, a lot of the blog stuff and all that.
Yeah.
I find now, especially in the last 12 months or so, there is almost so much.
Yeah, you
actually miss so much now as well.
You definitely do. But I think you pick and choose what you like to watch now, don't you? I mean, I like watching Carl and Alex. I think they're, you know, a breath of fresh air. They're good fun. I like the fact they fish for other stuff as well, which is quite cool. But I think you pick and choose the stuff that you like to watch. Obviously, Monster Carp and yeah, there is a lot of material, mate. Yeah,
no,
there
is. It's like I say, it's just where it's all going. You find that with the top podcasting as well, Tobe, don't we?
Yeah, we do. It's,
you know.
But as we said, there are so many from the podcasts. There's so many good podcasts out there. Everybody offers a little something different. Like
Definitely.
I said, you end up picking something that just kind of works.
Yeah,
for you.
I never used to listen to podcasts. Probably the last year or so, I would say I've started listening to more. I know Dan touched upon it a long time. He says he listens to them when he's going fishing, like on the way to the lake and stuff like that. I never get away with it in the car with the kids and the missus, but when I'm on my own, I'll listen to the odd fishing one, but I listen to other stuff like social media stuff, like improving, you know, new stuff in the social media world, and
I listen
probably
to
boring to a lot of people.
There's one. Do you ever watch Scrubs, the TV show?
No, I don't. But
the two main guys do a rewatch podcast, and that's really if you're into Scrubs, that's a
like
really
the Peter
good
Crouch one's always good fun.
That's brilliant.
He's very good.
The
Isn't
Ricky
he?
Gervais one, if you like him,
there's loads in there. So yeah, it's good. It's nice to see it.
You can have a bit too much of everything as well. I find with podcasting now as well, I've gone more onto audiobooks more than you know.
Yeah.
But
bit of a holiday thing for me, the audiobooks, just lying
I'm the
on
same.
a sun
That's
lounger.
the only time I
well, not anymore with Huxley, like, go Daddy, go in the pool, go play football. Yeah, all that malarkey.
I said to Tobe, I'm reading Matthew McConaughey's book at the moment, The Actor.
Yeah.
And you know, when they use their own, they're narrating the book themselves, and it's real, and it's
really into it.
Yeah, you just get so. I mean,
you do.
He's an actor, isn't he? So I mean, it comes across so well as well.
Absolutely.
But like you say, it's just where it's all moving at the moment,
Big
and
time, mate.
you know, we're trying to, you know, sort of keep up with where it's going and try and
working, mate. It's good.
Stay in front.
Yeah.
Should we get into your campaign stuff a little bit?
Yeah. Let's touch on some fishing. Yeah. Where do you want to start?
Well, I mean, this comment that you've caught a couple of times now. On the Park Lake.
Yeah.
I mean, that's been a bit of a long-term campaign for you, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has, mate. This Park Lake is a bit of a love of mine. With my mum and dad used to walk me around this Park Lake as a kid. You know, just in a pushchair. I vaguely remember like having ice creams, feeding the ducks and everything around that lake. And to this day, actually, it's not just a fishing lake to me. I was there the other day just taking Hux around for an ice cream, you know, going for a bike ride or taking Willow and the missus around just for a walk or whatever. Obviously with one eye on the lake the whole time. I grew up fishing there, mate, for bits and bobs like perch and stuff like that, and slowly it grew on, you know, as I progressed into carp fishing. It always had a bit of mystery about it, and I sort of over the years found out it had some very big carp in it, including this one big common and, you know, and a few others.
So what did you know about the lake then, stock wise and everything?
Well, it was a relatively low stock at the time, and then but I wasn't like a mad keen carp angler then. I just knew there was a few myths in there. And it took a few years to actually, you know, to get the balls to actually go and fish it. I'd progressed a bit by then. And one year they put a load of fish in it, a load of carp in it, like stockies, little scaly, whatever they're like. They were Suttons, I think. And they did it because they were going to hold the BCACs on there, which was crazy. They did. They put a few hundred fish in it. So an 80-acre pit, put a load of fish in it on top of the originals, to try and make it look good in the BCACs. And what was funny is me and Rich were in that BCAC semi-final on there because we'd qualified at somewhere else. Chilham Mill.
All right.
And we were in the semi-finals. We were actually next to Lee Merritt and Marsh. And we qualified. We caught 3 fish in like 10 minutes of each other. And anyway, cut a long story short, those stockies died like a year or 2 later. And the lake had a big fish kill. A lot of the big fish were found dead, blah, blah, blah.
What, algae or...
I don't think they know, like an oxygen crash or something. And, of course, that really put me off then, hearing that some big fish had died. And I left it be for a while. I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years, something like that. And then a close mate of mine sort of had heard on the grapevine that she had come out. Like someone had clearly done a bit of time, good on them. And the big girl had come out at like 46 pounds, something like that. And that was sort of the encouragement that I needed to really get into it. This was a few years later by now.
Were you anticipating that there was a fish that size potentially?
Yeah.
If it was in there, it would be that sort of size.
Absolutely. And sort of I'd flitted before that, but knowing that this fish was back really got my head back into it. Started baiting up. I got into a bit of a campaign. Got down there whenever I could, and crazily I caught that common the 5th night in. I probably missed out a chunk of fishing before that. I'd done a lot of time on there. But yeah, the 5th night back into my new campaign, I caught it at sort of 48 pound, which was pretty crazy. Got Elliot come down, did the incredible photos.
Incredible fish, isn't
incredible fish. Look at the head on it.
I know. It's classic, isn't it?
And it's still by far the hardest fighting fish I've ever played.
Was it?
In the lake when I hooked it, I was questioning, right, whether there were catfish in the lake. It was that
really?
It was like really raw power. And
was this on Sepography? Were you doing the campaign on there as well, weren't you?
No, this was a one-off. He came down to do this.
Was it?
He was with John Mack at the time, I think. But they're like buoys everywhere in the lake because there's like sort of sailing boats and everything on there. And I remember this fish power, and I was thinking this is coming to a buoy any minute. And luckily it didn't. But I was playing it for a good 20, 25 minutes, I reckon. Just a ridiculous carp.
Unbelievable fish. So did you stay on the venue after that then?
Yeah. So no. So I left it alone for. This was back in probably 18, I think, 2018, something like that. Left it alone for a while, and obviously we had all the COVID malarkey the year after that, and then there was still
I'm just saying, you look a bit like Scott Maslin there.
Yeah,
possibly. Hang on, look.
A little bit, yeah.
Just
big compliment.
Yeah.
I'd say that. He's a bit of a hunk, isn't he? But yes, I left it be for a bit, flitted around, but there was still a big mirror in there as well that I needed to catch. Like I didn't want to leave. It's so close to my home.
So again, was this getting caught, the mirror then, or
it comes out like once a year, if that. But it was in there.
So it wasn't a myth. It was.
No, it was in there. Yeah. It was in there. I'd seen a picture of it, and started back up. I did a couple of sessions last year. Went over there with hucks, but it obviously all the COVID malarkey, so it's. They didn't allow night fishing on there. You could only fish it days only, which was a bit crap on there, really. You needed to fish overnight and do a bit of a session. So I went back on in the spring this year and caught well. I was catching some decent carp. I had a couple of repeats. And then one night I caught 3 fish, which is kind of unheard of at times on there. One of them turned out to be the big common again, but this time at 53 pounds.
I was going to say, it looks absolutely massive.
It was colossal, mate.
It's like totally different fish.
Yeah, I think my hair was nearly as big as the carp.
Yeah, different hairstyle.
Like Claire Balding.
It's awesome fish though, mate.
But
and still growing and going, that fish.
It's massive. Isn't it? Just look at it. I mean, it's not even
that's
that
so much
fat,
bigger than the first time, isn't it?
Yeah, it was 53 pounds.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
A new PB, and so that leads me on to a story. That fish I had in the retainer. I caught it at like 4 a.m. something like that. Set me alarm for 5 to get up and do the photos in the light. So I've got up. I'm setting up my camera and everything because I do self takes. I don't like people taking pictures of me on there. Just to keep it a little bit quiet anyway, because I was having a good spring and. It was about 5 a.m. and I'm just setting all my tripod and camera up. I've got a good camera, Canon 6D Mark II and everything. This sort of electric scooter turns up.
This is after you caught this. I didn't realise you caught it.
Yeah, I caught this. This was in the sling. I'm setting up to do self-tape. This lad turns up on a scooter, like the tracksuit. hood up, mask on. All right there, bruv. I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. It's 5 a.m. Yeah, I'm all right, mate.
It's a bit alarming. That.
What camera's that? What camera you got there? I'm like, that's an SLR, like a 6D Mark II. Ah, right. Good camera, that, isn't it?
Did he really know that? He knew his stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
You get a bit concerned at that
I'm
point.
looking at him like,
Well, that's pretty early, isn't it?
oh, it's 5 a.m.
Well,
He's
I'm going to throw the picture up of how.
He's on a scooter at 5 a.m.
Here he is.
around the lake, and I'm a little bit like, this is a bit strange, isn't it?
At least he's taking precautions.
Right, but he's hopped off his scooter. I'm like,
Oh no!
I'm a bit scared. Like, it's a bit strange. I don't normally see people at this time in the morning. He takes some pictures of me. What? Can you take some pictures of me? I'm like, yeah, if you like. I'm a model. Oh, right, okay. So he's jumped off, stood by the lake. He's doing all it, he's standing there like this, like, do you think I look good in it? And I'm like, yeah, you look good, mate.
So this is a modelling picture, is it?
Yeah. So
the one I've just thrown out was that one?
This is the guy. This is the guy. He's in a brand new like Nike tracksuit, and he said, "I'm a model. Can you take some pictures?"
I don't think he's selling himself that well, though.
Oh,
is he?
mate. So,
we've got some actually. He looks quite good. At it.
but how strange. So
Weird.
I'm thinking this is still weird.
Yeah.
I'm taking some pictures. He's like, "So take my mask off." So he's taking his mask off. I thought, fair enough. If you're a model, you're a model. It's a bit weird. And then he said, can we go down by the bridge? And I'm like,
You start charging him.
the
for this.
bridge is like the other side of an 80-acre lake. I'm like, no, I can't go. I've got a 50-pounder in the sack. I'm not going to the other side of the lake. Anyway, I've done all these pictures for the lad, and he's a nice guy. And he's hopped on his scooter, given me his email address. Said, can you send them to me? And I'm like, yeah, I can.
That one there's actually quite a good picture of him.
But
It's a bit more typical.
But I've thought, I'm not sending him. I'm not sending. This is still too weird. I'm not sending him. Anyway, so he's buggered off. Like, I've done me pictures of me big un. And I've gone home and I've talked to my missus about it. She said, that's so strange. Have you show me the pictures of him? Like, showed her the picture. She's like, he's actually quite a handsome fella, isn't he? And I'm like,
well, you get a bit
you
jealous.
fancy him then, do you? It's like, no, honestly, like, his jawline, his chisel, it's like, he's a good-looking fella. Do you know what? He might actually be a model. And I've typed him in on Facebook and everything, and it turns out like he's there with his six-pack and all that, and he is a model.
Yeah,
so
He's an early riser as well, isn't he?
Yeah, so obviously I'm taking a few snaps. I'm like, would you bugger off? I've got a big fish here. I need to get it photoed before anyone sees it.
So what? I mean, what's he wearing there then?
Well, I don't know. It's like an all-in-one, not an all-in-one, but
fairness,
a matching Nike tracksuit.
So it's a bit too trendy for you, mate, because
it's not saying hardware either.
I'm a bit too old for this.
No, but that for even like people younger than me, that's a smart tracksuit and probably very expensive trainers.
It's not saying I'd buy.
It's not.
It don't look modelling to me.
No, but
maybe for like a
JD, Sports Direct, that'll be some serious.
Yeah, but not being. Normally, you have photographers, professional photographers that do that.
Yeah.
He must have been doing it for his portfolio.
Well, but in all fairness,
I think it was.
In all fairness to him, that what he's wearing there is probably really expensive. I bet it's some expensive clothes.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Brand new Nike.
So did you tell him that I've got a huge fish in the
No, I didn't say it. I didn't say any of that. It was just all a bit surreal.
But it's a bit surreal. It's like
5 a.m. Like what's he? He said he's come back from work. Like I don't know.
Just after you've landed that and everything as well.
Yeah, so it's just.
But I mean, that first initial moment of anybody who you don't know turning in your swim, you're a bit like,
I'm a bit like.
Do you find park lakes in general that? I mean, is that a real one-off, or do you find?
Loads of weird things happen.
It happens to him every time he goes.
Mate, you obviously get your normal dog walkers. You get a few drunks. Like the other week, there was like a massive Indian party, and these guys, they own. I got talking to them, really nice. They were pissed. But they own some of the Indian curry houses in like Stony Stratford and Newport Pagnell, and they're having a massive party, getting pissed, like having their curries and all that. They're like, come and help yourself to poppadoms and all.
Oh, mate, that's
behind
awesome,
the swim. And I'm like, I didn't. I was well tempted.
Yeah,
I love a curry.
I would have.
Yeah.
I would have.
And
All over
but they were lovely fellas. Like, what are you doing here? Like, were you fishing? Do you catch anything? Like, do you eat them? I'm like, well, no, I don't eat them. They're like, if you catch anything, we'll come and have a look. And
It's weird, isn't it? But those places, I fished that Swindon Park Lake.
yeah,
And that's the same sort of craziness.
weird. But you get some very strange people, and you get some really nice people. The Pokemon catchers, that's another story. This was a few years ago. I'm fishing, and I've just caught a fish. I've just put it in the sack, and it is raining. It's monsoon-like rain. It's really heavy rain. I'm sitting there, it's clattering down. And I see these, like, someone on a phone and, like, a few torches and that in the bushes next to me swim. This is like 3 a.m. This is weird.
You attract some strange attention on the bank.
They need some lights around this lake, don't they?
Has someone gone for a jog and do they need a poo or something? They're going in the hedge. And it's weird, but they're really rustling around, and they've been doing it for a while, and it's a bit disturbing. And my dog's growling and that as well. I'm like, this is not on. Like, I'm going to go and see what they're up to. And I said, excuse me, mate, what you're up to? Like, it's pouring with rain. Are you okay? Like, I don't know if it's some mad person. And like, I'm looking for Pokemon. I'm like, what? What, in the trees? Yeah, I'm looking for Pokemon. Like, apparently on your phones, there's like games where you follow and pick up all these. Apparently there's some really rare Pokemon in the bushes at the lake.
Well, it's going to be in it. Wherever you're fishing, it's going to be an absolute hot spot,
they've
isn't
looked
it,
at
for
me
her?
like I'm a madman. Like, I probably am.
He's going, what are you doing, mate? I'm getting a Charizard out the back of your swim.
I'm catching slimy carp in the rain, and he's catching Pokemon in the rain.
You said you've done that, Tobe, haven't you?
No, yeah, I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to Pokemon.
Oh, you are. It's probably you in there, is it,
probably-
Tobe? Rustling about.
No,
So you get up in the middle of the night. Why would they be up early then doing that?
They have events in which certain rare Pokemon are only available at certain times in certain areas. So yeah, you will find. I've said to you
What
earlier,
a way to spend your time.
I know.
They probably say the same.
It's
though.
incredibly popular.
Exactly.
I've been
Camped up by a lake. Yeah.
I had a night out in town years ago and stuff like that. It was like 11 o'clock or something. It was late, but town was rammed. I thought, it's a busy night in town.
Yeah,
well, no, it was a special event for Pokemon.
Wow.
And I would say rammed. It was hundreds of people.
Wow.
It's really popular.
Mental.
Yeah.
What do they win?
Pokemon.
Pokemon.
Imaginary Pokemon.
What is it like a?
It's a game.
I think you
It's a
collect
game,
them.
I know what it is, but
Do you get points for each Pokemon or something?
No, it's more of a collection thing. So
Right.
and then you can go to certain places. Say in your town, the town hall might be a gym.
Yeah.
So old matey who's behind your swim in 3
Yeah.
in the morning has caught this powerful Pokemon that he can then go to the gym and he's going to beat everybody. And then he's in there and you level up. It's just
I guess it's like the modern day Pogs or like
That's treasure hunt.
or like Go-Go's.
Yeah,
or
that's the best
football
way.
stickers.
Yeah, because you can
It's that sort of thing.
you
probably,
trade
isn't
and collect
Yeah.
them all. It's all on
Yeah.
an app on your phone. That's all it
Crazy.
is now.
I prefer
Crazy.
the football stickers and stuff.
Yeah, that's better. Can I swap your shiny for my shiny?
Yeah, I know exactly.
Yeah.
Those shinies were good, weren't they? Yeah. Yeah. So are you still fishing? Are you still fishing on there now?
Yeah, on and off. I had that 53, and then they spawned. So I thought, do you know what? I'm going to leave this for a few months now. I'd like to catch up mirror at a decent weight.
Right.
And when they spawn on there, they really spawn. You know, they go very thin and don't look like they.
Yeah.
I want them to look. You know. So
Yeah.
So I left it for a while, mate, and I'm flitting with monks and a bit of surface fishing over at a few other lakes and just flitting around and enjoying my fishing at the minute.
Yeah. No, it sounds like, I mean, like I say, so you've got another target fish on there then. Which,
there's a target fish on there, and I've got these couple of other sort of magic lakes on the back burner that will require some time and focus. So when I'm ready, I'll do
You
it.
talk about time and I mean, how do you go about fishing a campaign session like that for you? I mean, what?
So I'm lucky that this lake was actually relatively local. So I like me running. You know, in the winter I do a lot of running. So I'll run around the lake sort of 2 or 3 times a week. At the time, I might, I so happen to have some bait in the van, and I'll always have my eyes on the water, running round. Like you run right around the circuit of the lake. So I spend a lot of time up there, whether it's taking hucks for a bike ride or a walk, or I go and have an ice cream. And
you're really into pre-baiting spots. And everything.
You're
doing a lot of that.
A lot. Yeah, I seeded those areas up a lot in the spring, and there's a lot of bream in there. So I wasn't actually fishing seed and stuff like that when I was actually fishing, but when I wasn't there, I was banging it in. I wanted everything eaten on those.
I've
spots.
heard you say that. You're not too bothered about what you put in. It's more about them.
Yeah,
just
I want
knowing
to
it's
rip
there.
it to shreds.
Yeah,
correct. Because it's a very weedy lake, and Yeah.
Do you think quantity over consistency of baiting?
No, I think probably more so consistency, mate. So I was going up there sort of every other day, baiting up in the dark, because there are onlookers there, and people do sheep you up if you're onto something. Like all those fishing that I had in the spring, I didn't publicise any of them until what are we now? Probably end of May, beginning of June, when I knew I'd had me hit, because people do sheep you up on there. So I'd got something going really nicely on there, kept it quiet for a bit, and
a lot of other guys fishing on there at the moment. Are you?
Yeah, there's a few now. There's a few heroes are starting to look at it now.
Is that difficult with you with social media? Because you do put so much social media out.
I mean, yeah, I didn't, like I said, I didn't publicise it till I was happy with my spring. But it's difficult. It's difficult to sort of do your social media without kicking yourself in the foot a little bit as well,
exactly.
like doing yourself in a bit.
Yeah.
There's a balance, some stuff you hold back, or you do throw the odd blinder when you're there. You have to, I think, to keep a step ahead. But it's a difficult one. Mate.
Is it? I mean, the likes of someone like you fishing there. I mean, for you, when you first, so there were myths in there, but obviously now everybody knows that the myths are not existing.
Yeah. That's right. I know. I think that 53 might have even been a Milton Keynes record. Well, it would have been, but I didn't want bailiffs coming down and weighing it and all that malarkey. I was happy I caught it and slipped it back.
Yeah. What about that linear we've got on there as well? Eggets linear as well. That's a hell of a fish, wasn't it?
Yeah, that is. Do you know what? That's, even though I've caught lots more bigger carp since then, that's probably still one of my my best ever fish. And it was like 13 pounds smaller than that big common. But it was just a magical place. I mean, all the fish have been taken out of there now and put somewhere else. I don't know whether it was getting filled in or whatever, but the lake itself was like, it was in someone's garden, like a real sort of weird garden. It was just an overgrown pond, really, but it just held the most incredible fish. That was of the lean era, that fish, whether it was a spawn on or really, really old.
Just looking at some video footage now.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about going back for that fish, that big common, and I caught it on my 5th session. This was another sort of situation like that. So I was at Korda at the time, and I'd been fishing it heavy for like a year, this lake. Caught pretty much all the known ones, other than this linear. You didn't see them very much. You saw all the other ones all the time. And I remember I'd fished it really hard and till sort of May time, and they all spawned, and I thought, do you know what, I'm going to give it a rest now. It's blown me out a little bit. I've caught all the known ones, and the linear's just nowhere to be seen. And I actually went, so between May and October, I did nothing on there. I went back in October and caught it on the first night back in October, and it's amazing how that happens quite a lot.
Why don't you think you were seeing it? What was it doing?
It's a bit of a coy sort of shy old carp, that one.
Do you find those ones easier to target though? Obviously, because they're not group fish.
That's right. Well, do you know what it was? Do you know where I used to find this fish? So it was quite an intimate lake. There were lots of little dot islands. It was very weedy. There were gravel bars. There were snags. Like it was a crazy place. And part of the lake was out of bounds. And it was very, very snaggy, and you could boat everywhere. You just couldn't fish in the out of bounds. And he spent a lot of time in that out of bounds. A lot of the fish didn't care; they got everywhere. But that one fish spent a lot of time there, and I actually caught him like as far right to the out of bounds as I could possibly get it.
Did you? Right.
But he spent loads of time. Right, there was all these snags, and it was quite shallow. It was sort of 4 foot, something like that. But in behind the snags was like this. Huge, great big crater in the bottom, and that it was like I called it the swimming pool. And honestly, mate, it was a massive swimming pool that had been like dug out, and he'd be sitting there like quite a lot of the time with a few more of the A team. And I've got should have dug that out actually, Tobe. I've got a picture of this crater of all 4 of the A team sitting in there. It's only a crappy photo because it was on my phone because I was in the boat.
So man-made.
Yeah, mate. I'm sure that the fish have made it.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't like a big square. It was like an oval shape. But clearly, they'd fed there so hard and spent
and it's
so
always
much
been
time
there.
in it. Yeah. Every time I went in there was always one of the A team in there. But he liked to spend a lot of time in this crater behind all the snags. Like, I'd have to pull myself into the snags
when you're seeing a fish like that, do you expect to catch it from that area or maybe somewhere else?
I thought then I would catch him, yeah. I when I kept seeing those fish in that swimming pool area, I thought, I've got to get as close as I can to this without breaking the rules. And I probably pushed it a little bit, but no one really was fishing there at the time. And I caught him very, very close to that sort of area, yeah. Crazy times, mate.
Those craters as well, I mean... Simon Scott was going to do some stuff with us about those actually, on the show, because I don't know whether it's best to fish those areas when they're being formed, or if they're already there, whether the spot is actually dead or not.
No, they were happy. They were happy there, mate. They spent a lot of the time in that, and it was. I wouldn't have said it was a newly formed one because it was massive and it was polished. They were there a lot of the time, and I would quite happily feed them there. They would feed in there. You could never fish in there because it was like through the snags and like out the back sort of thing. It was like a little channel. And I think a rig place there, I'd have caught them one after the other, no problem. But you could get nowhere near it.
And you thought once you caught that one, that was pretty much
I was job done on there, yeah. Like by a long way. I'd caught sort of 8 or 9 of the other known big uns, all the named big uns. And it worked nicely because it was the last one. Yeah, crazy, mate. But Ian Bailey had caught that fish as well. He caught that several years before me. It was the picture of Bailey with it that made me then go and have a little go as well. So, yeah.
That's quite poignant, isn't it?
Yeah, it's cool, mate.
Yeah,
it's cool. Mega Lake.
You just need to keep finding those fish.
There aren't many of them out there anymore, unfortunately. Not like that anyway, I don't think. Little forgotten ponds, like I'm sure there's a few, but that was a very special place.
Yeah, Brett was talking about he was fishing an old Leany pond and stuff like that, and it's like, we're looking for the next ones.
We
are,
yeah. There must be some around, but that was ultra special, That wasn't just one carp either. There were lots of other old ones in there as well. Not as big, but amazing fish, yeah.
Cool. What about writing stuff and everything else? So you've signed up with Typography now. You're doing your diary pieces.
Yeah, El's a good friend of mine, and he said, look, you're fishing plenty now. Would you like to do a monthly sort of every 5 week or something vlog, like diary piece? He wanted it raw. I said, I'm only going to shoot it raw because it takes a lot of effort to set up an SLR all the time, make sure the sound's good and all that. I was like, look, I'm just going to buy the best phone you can get. I'm going to film it on my phone, on a GoPro, and I'll do the fish on my SLR. I was like, fine, do it. Make it as raw as you want it. And it has been. It's been really well received. I think I've actually said, look, this isn't your normal style of typography, beautiful shots, scenics, and all that. This is going to be raw with me fishing. Could be a GoPro on my head and everything. And that's what it is, but it captures everything, like that floater take. And
I just think there's so much. Just personally, I think it's so much better because you just feel like
you feel like you're there.
You feel like you really.
I think we've gone full circle a little bit with it, where we've gone super glossy, and now we're reverting back to
a bit more raw stuff.
You think Al sees that as well? That it's mixing things up.
Mixing things up, yeah. Not just one sort of style,
Is it restrictive having to keep filming stuff all the time like that, or?
No, because it is. Yeah, I mean, it takes a little bit of time to do it, of course, but because I'm lucky enough to spend some time on the bank, I fit it in, it's come out well.
And you do that every month, so you're sort of signed up by Typography. I know Al's using a few guys now, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's got like a handful of regulars now. I think he wanted like your regulars, like I think the likes of myself. I think Tom Stokes might be doing some regular stuff now.
He's getting the right guys in.
Jim Shelley, just people that are fishing a lot, catching nice carp. And
how's your ghillie stuff going?
Good, yeah. So that there's a few things I'm going to be adding to this, like in the next few.
Do you want
months.
to just explain if people don't know what it is?
Yeah, so basically, I'm creating like a hub of carp fishing venues. So if someone wants to try and find some venues in Buckinghamshire with carp up to £20 or whatever, it'll come up with all those venues, and they can click into the venue and find information about it. But not just £12 a ticket. Fish up to 40. It's in more detail than that. Quite often on some of them I've got good anglers to write about them, like Tom on Wolfhamstow or Tom Maker on Brasenose or whatever. So I basically want to create like a platform, for a go-to platform for people to go to and learn about fisheries and lakes. And
is this an idea that you came up with individually?
Yeah, exactly that. And but I've sort of gone, there's going to be a step further to it in the future, but I can't talk too much.
Right, okay.
So it's pretty cool, yeah.
That's the way carp fishing's going though as well, isn't it? I know Bev was talking about something similar when she came on the show.
Yeah, she
as
did.
well.
Yeah.
You know.
That's what I mean. There's kind of because there's someone else. I've moved it on quite a massive step. I think it's going to be. So we'll see.
Oh right, okay.
We'll see.
We'll look forward to that.
Yeah.
Excited.
Yeah, should be cool.
Yeah, good. Well, look, thanks very much for coming on the show. It was short notice, but it was really good to meet you as well.
Cheers,
and I think we do some more of this stuff in the future as well.
Absolutely, we've got loads more to talk about, campaigns and stuff like that. So,
Well, I hope you're not going to go away and say there's another. Oh, I should have mentioned that campaign. But we could always do that another time anyway, can't we?
Absolutely, mate.
Yeah. Well, thanks very much for coming on the show. I promise we'll look after this gift as well.
Please do. That's a special one. That
of
one.
course we will.
Hope you like it.
Cheers, Jimmy. Thank you, mate.
That's great.
Cheers,
Thanks very
mate.
much.
No
Cheers.
worries.
The Thinking Tackle Podcast.